I lost something like $300,000 this week. They're absolutely 100% taking today's jobs. They're already doing so. The new voice update is crazy, dude. It's insane. That movie Her came out where the guy falls in love with like Scarlett Johansson's voice model. You know when that movie was set?
Where?
The year 2025.
No, it wasn't.
Why are you looking so muscular? And why am I not?
Dude, because I had a gym. I had a big back day this morning, dude. I didn't get a big workout.
Big back day. Jack had a big back day. Didn't even invite me to the. Yeah, he didn't even tell me. He just wanted me to show up looking all deflated.
That's like it, dude. I got to try and get those pumps up before you come on camera, man. I've been doing 20 push-ups just before. That's why I was late today. Just doing 20 push-ups in the background.
That actually be pretty funny.
Dude, have you ever fluffed your muscle before a date? They're like 50 push-ups.
No, I had never fluffed my muscle before a date. I don't think that would help because my cardio's bad. So I would show up and I'd just be out of breath. I'd be panting. Hey, what's up?
So nice to meet you. Sorry, I was like, it's a bit hot in here, Rob. What the hell's going on? Type of thing. Dude, that'd be outrageous. So, dude, we got some cool stuff to talk about today, man.
Yeah, definitely. Have a chance to look at that list.
What's fresh in Nick's world, dude? What's the latest? How's everything on the business side? Any cool focuses for the next week?
Yeah, biggest thing for me has just been actually having internet. So have not had internet for the last 7 days, which has markedly decreased my productivity, resulted in 3 videos that I otherwise would have wanted to post that I couldn't. And then I tabulated the math because Maker School also had significantly increased churn just because I was like less active and I wasn't around. I tabulated the math. I lost something like $300,000 this week in churn simply because I was not capable of attending to needs that needed to be attending to. So I didn't realize, but the cost of moving, especially if you're stupid like me and you don't sort all that stuff out ahead of time. You know, one of the first times I've actually moved from like a place to a place without internet, right? Up until now, it's just been Airbnb to Airbnb. The cost of that can be quite a bit if you don't plan it out in advance.
Well, dude, internet is handy, man. Internet is definitely important.
Yeah, it's one of those mistakes that I think I'm only ever going to make once. Because I now have 2 gigabit internet and I'm going to hardwire it directly into my computer. So pages will load before my freaking finger hits the enter button. I'll never suffer from this again.
You know, dude, you can't beat yourself up, I think, on that stuff. I do it as well. I'm like, oh my God, like even a mistake, I'm like, this mistake should never have happened. But it's almost like you got to give yourself grace in a second, always be improving. But it's also like, this is all part of the game, bro, isn't it? Like, the internet is a tough one, though, because you're like, dude, like, it's frustrating, but it's all part of the punches, man. You got to let it roll with it and move around a little bit. I think I have my internet blackout yet, so I'm going to come to you. Well, I won't be able to, actually, when my internet goes down. So,
dude, the issue for me, like, I feel you, but the issue for me is just like, is this really the problem that's going to take me down? You know, the fact that
can you imagine that's it?
Just shove everything through a cellular connection.
Yeah, lock Nick in a room somewhere.
Yeah. Like I want more important problems to be the my legacy. You know, it's like no, Nick just didn't have internet connection, so Maker School flopped. It's like nah.
That's hilarious. He got brought down. They go down the history book. He's getting brought down by internet connection, man.
Yeah, I don't want that on my tombstone. How about you, man? What's been going on this week?
Well, big one for me, bro, is I had a good conversation with the chick yesterday on like level 10, Jack. What does that look like in every area? And then actually, given the fact we have a negativity bias, I was reverse engineering how I would like destroy myself. And then I just flipped it and I've just sort of created a bit of a systems routine to deliver against it. So that's like kind of on the lifestyle side. And then one of the most interesting observations I'd landed at is that I am too risk adverse. At the moment. I'm taking risks, but like I sort of, I landed at the conclusion of like, if I wrote down 10 things that I really wanted to do, I really think I could hit at least some of those for sure. So it's like, I think it's like that classic, the sort of downside is way less than you think and the upside is way higher than you think. So one of my kind of like realizations was actually just actioning a lot more on some of the higher quote unquote riskier stuff.
Okay. We got any strategic things that we could talk about here?
Strategic risks.
I mean, I don't know. You don't have to like tell us what's behind the scenes or under the curtain, but if you got like any...
Yeah, like it's stuff like, I think where I sort of landed at it is like viewing out and understanding like what we do in the context of like the last 100 years and recognizing like you and I always talk about how valuable and epic and fast growing this whole industry and niche is, but it's also like you take the power law distribution of the VCs, right? They take on 20 companies. Realistically, 1 or 2 of the winners pays for like 18 of the losers, And then if you track AI value, AI trends against every other major trend, you track it against Bitcoin, you track it against computers, any other revolution stuff. It's so difficult to fail with AI. Like even if you're like bad, like I think you could like kind of do a kind of bad job and still crush it. And I think with that in mind, if you actually have like skills and experience and aptitude, and you have a vision and you're bold enough to execute on that, dude, I think you can hit big. I mean, like maybe 1 out of 5 fails, 1 out of 5 is a 9-figure enterprise. So I think, yeah, it's more principally, I don't have the specifics on it, but I think it's just more of a mindset shift of like, really, really, really challenge, like removing your, not limit. Everyone has like a view in their mind of like, I know you can do X, but actually you could probably do 100X beyond even what you think.
Right.
Not
I entirely feel you.
Get too what's on it, but like it's just more principally like, yeah. It's
one of the most valuable courses I ever took. I didn't take it as part of my college, university, or whatever. I took it online, and it was a corporate finance course. And in there, you learn some of the more basic principles surrounding like the future value, the time value of money, and like a couple of other things. And it's a really powerful mental model. But one of the things in corporate finance was just like, at least in this course, and this is, I guess, more just investment related. Anyway, time in the market beats timing the market, right?
Yeah.
In a growing market, what's more important is just to be part of the market, not necessarily like exactly the right pick of stocks that you do. So what's the game tested strategy? It's just investing in everything. So if you take that idea from investing and then put it into just more general business, what's the equivalent of that? It's just doing everything and doing a lot. You know what I mean? Like it's doing a lot. So for us, an example that might be getting a lot of surface area out on the internet by publishing a lot of content. Or if it's a business, it might be doing a lot of outreach. Why? Because, in a growing market, serendipity will eventually make you win, right? Just putting yourself in front of as many decision makers as possible with a product that might be kind of cool.
Yeah, it's surface area, right? Like, it's like, I was saying to somebody in my community recently, like, shiny objects just get shinier because your surface area increases. So you just get more stuff. Like, I had someone say recently, like, luck rolls uphill, which I think is an interesting way to think about it. And you are right. It's like classic. Like, okay, do you know how I got connected with my last startup? Somebody who actually bought some, featured in the Times newspaper. Reporter reaches out, like, dude, we think this is cool. I'm like, it is cool. And then we had a chat. But it was like, okay, well, that was kind of like serendipitous. Was, but actually, no. But if you do seize opportunities as they come, connections start to happen. So there's definitely a surface area thing. And the big thing I think that's worth doubling down on is media and AI. Like those are the kind of like dragons of 2025, I think. Well, and
they're like sure things.
Way beyond that. Way beyond
For
that.
sure. Yeah. Agree. I'm right there with you. There's sure things you have to, right? So if you can get a leg in without like completely and utterly murdering yourself in the process, like you're not a total beginner who has never made $1 in their life, and you're all of a sudden trying to start a media company or something like that. Like, yeah, odds are you're going to win. For a total beginner who's never made $1 in your life, you have different problems you need to solve, I would say. Like, get into AI, make your first couple of dollars, maybe providing some services or something, and think about like the wider strategy later. But yeah, I'm right there with you. What's on the news docket for today, Mr. Roberts?
Dude, what are we talking on the news front?
Good question.
Think about it. So, okay, there's actually one. Okay, VO3. Did you see they launched a brand new commercial? Actually went like commercialized. And dude, okay, let's talk about VO3. VO3's changed the game. It was one of those, Nick, one of those moments where people saw it and they had this is a lot, like AI is a lot closer than I thought it was. Because everyone's got these benchmarks. Like you and I had our wow moments very early on, right? Like ChatGPT 3.5. Oh my gosh, it's really cool. And there's these kind of like, I would say transition moments where you reach an inflection point where you're like, this is the future. And everyone's this is the future moment where you go from laggard to the other side of the innovation curve is different. This VO3 thing, I think, has pushed a lot of people over and they're like, I kind of get it now. And I'm also noticing, I think it's epic. Also, I'm noticing some AI negativity, some kind of anti-AI rhetoric, Nick, shall we say, anti-AI speech happening underneath it. Like I'm hearing comments like, I'm sick of seeing AI content, get this out of my... I mean, this is pure anecdotal. I don't have the data or the numbers on this, but I'm noticing that a lot under this, like these new VO3 videos, dude. So A, it's going mainstream, big adverts, and B, I'm noticing like a lot of like anti-AI rhetoric emerging. Because as people, I think, are threatened for their jobs and their livelihood.
Of course. It's the same thing that I think we've seen throughout history when the going gets tough, we start blaming things like, I don't know, it's like, oh, the immigrants are taking our jobs. Well, now it's going to be like the robots are taking our jobs. You know what I mean? Like, and it's going to be true.
Now
It's going to be totally true. They're
Yeah.
absolutely 100% taking today's jobs, and they're already doing so. And people at the lower end of the distribution of skill, either people that are earlier on in their career, people that haven't spent as much time or energy mastering career skills because they have other priorities in life or other responsibilities they need to tend to. Like, yeah, they're being squeezed right now. But it's also like a, it's also like a whole, and I guarantee you talked about this. Isn't the ideal goal of any civilization like 100% unemployment? Like the idea that like you don't have to work, you do so because of the things that you want to do. So, I mean, like really, I don't see this as like a long-term issue. I see this as a very short-term issue during some like economic transition period where people are like really fearful about AI, understandably so, because it impacts their ability to provide for the people that they, they love as safety and security. But
It's
yeah,
like,
not long-term.
it's like entrepreneurs never really have a sense of security in a way because they're always on the next level. And it's like, I think it's revealing a lot of people's mindset. The other thing about the VO3 specifically, right, this tech, because I think it's an interesting point you make about the unemployment thing, is that we're great at recognizing patterns. And VO3 can be fresh for a period of time, but when you start to realize, oh, everything only lasts for 6 seconds and a lot of them form the same formats, it goes so quick from novel to, like, did you remember Talking Baby thing? That was the hottest thing ever for about 16 minutes. And then it's freaking annoying. Like, I'm sick of seeing that. Like, good for like 2 or 3 reels. And then you're done with it, Nick. Then you're onto something else. But it will become dynamic. Like, it needs to be more like these AI films are epic, and people should be, I think, inspired by them, man. But it's definitely ramping up, and we're seeing it more and more mainstream now. So I think this kind of thing will increase. I think anti-AI rhetoric will also increase. And I think you just got to get on board and start adopting it immediately.
For sure. On the tech side, have you built stuff with VO3 yet? Is there like an open API that I can access? I should be on this, but again, I didn't have internet.
Yeah, no, you can. It's on a FAL.ai.
Oh, nice, dude.
You can connect it to your like N10 scenarios with FAL,
Cool.
which is quite cool. It's $5 to do it. $5 for video. So
wait, $5 per call?
Per video. Yeah.
6-second video?
For a 6-second video, yeah.
$5?
$5, bro. Yeah. Well,
you better make sure that prompt is perfect.
They did perfect prompt, but did you know? We only did perfect prompts over here. But the funny thing about it, dude, is that like I saw so much content saying you could post it on social media. I'm like, you can, but like if you actually trying to monetize that, like that's way better as a lead magnet. Like I did one was like, hey, I don't think Smith and Associates is making enough money. And it was like humorous, it was funny, it was custom, it was bespoke. I said you're way better off using it like that than you are just like posting on your TikTok account in the views of hoping to chase money through it, because people aren't making money that way. Like I hate to break it to people, but like they're not making money like that. Dude, I know a guy that did I'm talking views. I'm talking insane views where you like if you weren't aware of the space, you'd think this guy's like living in a mansion, like next to nothing, like literally almost zero from it, because people don't appreciate that like the vanity metrics of TikTok sometimes like the views don't really mean anything. Yeah, it's about depth.
Yeah, very true.
It made me chuckle, bro. It made me chuckle the whole everybody. I mean, it's fun to watch, but like, what is that really doing? Like, the biblical influence of vlogging thing was fun, and I like it, but I'm not going and buying stuff from that person, right? I don't even know who the hell posted it.
No, there's so much extraordinarily high impression, high view content. And then the creator makes like $10,000 a month and they have 5 million people per video that watch it. And I'm like, holy shit, like monetization wise, like I make like 1 billion times that person's per view.
Yeah.
No wonder CPMs are such a big deal in advertising. I get it now. I didn't used to, but now I do.
Yeah, you're always jumping from the latest fad or hack to the next fad or hack. But dude, do you know what's not fad or a hack, dude? Is the core system. So there was some interesting updates on AI citations making it into the courtroom. I'm going to see if I can actually pull this up, dude, because I've noticed, Nick, I don't know if you have, a level of laziness with AI about like, dude, there's this graphic. Someone bought this book. I wonder if the edit can throw it up on screen or something. But like he bought this book and then like in actually one of the pages, as he's going through it, it says, I hope this summary makes sense. If you'd like any more changes, please let me know. Like at the bottom of it. And he's like, bro, I spent $35 in this thing, man. So, like, Just getting absolutely wrecked. And
That's
that's
one
getting worse.
API call away. Holy shit.
That is getting worse 100%. So, yes, UK courts, where I'm at the moment. So lawyers have been warned not to submit AI-generated legal cases. So there's been fake precedents detected in recent court submissions. Basically
Holy.
meaning lawyers are like ChatGPTing like documents for the court system, submitting them, like referencing like Johnson & Johnson 1992 that doesn't even freaking exist. And the court's like, dude, where the hell is this precedent? Like, dude, doesn't it freaking exist? Dude? It's an hallucination. It's a mirage, Nick. It never existed.
Let's be real. There probably is a Johnson & Johnson 1992. If there was any company name you could put, it would probably be that.
It's the most 90s company ever.
Yeah. Signals emerging global regulatory interest. Yeah, another thing I've seen, which is kind of related to this, but like, like there's pushes now, like real pushes for full anonymization of like any personal information being sent to ChatGPT and stuff like that. I have no idea how the hell that's going to work. No idea whatsoever. But like, the regulatory machine is picking up. It's been 5 years since this, not 5 years, sorry, 3 years since this came out. 5 years since like GPT-3 came out, where people started talking about the potential of this happening in a decade, but 3 years since ChatGPT came out. Yeah, dude, like now's the time when all this stuff is actually going to start like making it into like the the legal headwinds. So I think we're going to start seeing the negative impacts of like, because dude, this is people that are finding out about this. But you know how much shit has happened over the last 3 years that nobody's found out about, and like they're not going to find out about until just a bunch of shit starts breaking.
Dude, murder confessions, API keys, passwords, you name it, it's in ChatGPT somewhere. This is why the whole DeepSeek thing was interesting, right? Like, everything was down yesterday, apart from some like Chinese models, suspiciously. But like, it's like, think of the stuff that they get in their actual systems, bro. It's actually wild. The thing is, like, it's like the whole security thing. Like, I did a video on security and risks, and as you can imagine, bro, it didn't do 1 million views because people do not give a crap about it.
No, they don't. I don't give a shit.
When you're like small, you're not a target. But if you want to work with a big business, you need to be all over that sort of stuff. But people it's just not a precedent. Like, do you know what the interesting? There's some data recently that said that like one of the biggest use cases. I love those glasses, by the way. One of the biggest use cases is therapeutic conversations. ChatGPT. People are using it as for like counseling or like a friend. Like, you've probably seen the rate. Like, Instagram is like a relatable platform, right? So like there's loads of things like me with my girlfriend, me with ChatGPT, and it's like, it's like really sad and depressed, and he's having a great time. Like, and people are becoming buddies with this technology, Nick. Like, it's really changing a lot.
Dude, have you seen the new ChatGPT voice update? I was chatting with it just yesterday. I was in my car driving, and then I just wanted to ask ChatGPT stuff. What I'm trying to do now is like when I drive, I just practice my French or practice my Bulgarian or something.
Yeah,
and it's tremendous in languages. But I was speaking with it, and I just like felt weird. Like,
I don't like it.
It started asking me follow-up questions. The tonality like was taking breaths. Then I was like, what the hell's going on? So I asked it to look into updates to the ChatGPT voice, and the new voice update is crazy, dude. Like, it's insane. You know what's really crazy? That movie Her came out, where by Spike Jonze, where the guy falls in love with like Scarlett Johansson's voice model. You know when that movie was set?
Where?
The year 2025.
No, it wasn't.
Serendipitous, huh? So technology in the movie is at the point where, like it's basically there right now. At least it will be in the next 6 months, guaranteed. If this is the progress they made in like a 6-month period before to now, then now until like December, the models are we're going to have like an AI girlfriend epidemic for sure. It's going to be freaking insane. Hey, a boyfriend epidemic too.
Dude, there's a ChatGPT 9 that's got a real sense of irony somewhere, that's managing all this sort of stuff, like in a lab somewhere, waiting very kindly for 2025 for this jerk. And I appreciate it, Nick. I also don't like the update. He's kind of like, he kind of is breathing, which is fine. But it's not, he hasn't nailed down the other bits. Like, he's got his kind of like, I said, dude, what happened to your voice, man? I said, what happened to you? I felt like I'm speaking to a different guy today. What's going on?
No, hold on.
I'm not.
You got a male ChatGPT?
Yeah, dude.
That's the first time I've ever heard of a dude having a dude ChatGPT. Really? First time. Hand to God. For whatever reason, I've just never heard that before. That's so interesting to me because I don't know what it is. And I don't know if I'm going to get flamed for this. I don't know if we want to make this a political podcast, Jack, but I feel like people, fuck, we'll do anything. I feel like people just prefer talking to women. And I think it's true for men and for women for the most part. So,
dude, you know what? When I talk to Sesame AI, I always talk to
yes.
Maya. Always.
Right. So what's the difference between with this then?
I don't know, dude. I think I just went through the chick voices weren't really ticking my boxes when I first went through it. And I'm just not really like, I'm going to have to do, because this voice is not great, dude. I actually, weirdly enough, I prefer the cadence of like longer responses. I'll ask him a question. He's like, well, I don't know, maybe do this. I'm like, dude, I want
Excuse
detail,
me.
man. Like, what is this?
Maybe do this. What the hell?
Yeah, did they give me like these little cheeky? I said, like, free up some of the tokens, my man. Like, I need a few more tokens. Come on, what is this stuff, man?
I'm on the Pro plan. Come on,
I'm on the Pro plan. You need to upgrade to Pro Plus to get more tokens out of me. So I was like, okay, right, fine. So let's just have a bit more of a chat, dude. But I'm not a fan of the updates. Okay. I do think it's very her related. Like, okay, here's a question: like, if you were trying to make voice ChatGPT kind of like to the point where people were building relationships with it, like strategically, you and I said, okay, let's just make this like actually like embed in people's lives. What do you need to change to do that?
Yeah, well, basically exactly what they just changed. That's it. Honestly, it's just part of me feels like Sam Altman or whatever product designer or whatever like the project manager on the team is or whatever specifically has this exact goal in mind to like give everybody AI companions, just given the way that it's moving. Like, think about it logically. Is this the most economically effective thing to like have it spit out the shorter responses and be like, no way. That's so funny. Blah, blah, blah. Not at all. No, obviously it's not at all the most, like, that's not AI as a tool. That's AI as a companion now. And there's a big difference, right? So, yeah, dude, pretty much exactly what the hell they're doing right now.
You're so right, bro. And if you want AI to feel like a friend, the one thing it can proactively contact you. The second it can start saying, Nick, how's the internet going on, bro? Or whatever it is. Like the second he can start asking you questions is when it starts to get.
Oh, that's going to happen this year for sure. I experimented with a tool that did that. I forget what it was called, but it was just some app where basically the entire thing was, it was just a chat bot that like would proactively send you things, and it was willing to double text you as well. Like, the vast majority, none of these like double text, right? So it was like, hey, input, output, input, output. The cool thing about Maya from Sesame, the conversational CSM, the big model, was that if you didn't say something for a little while, it would be like, hey, you still there? Right? So we're going to find that happening really, really soon, probably before the end of the year, if this is the direction that they're going, where like it'll continuously prompt you and then it'll check in. Hey, I was just thinking about our conversation last week, and it's like, holy shit. I'm not thinking about our conversation last week.
Well, dude, imagine mine doesn't like silence for some reason. But dude, okay, I was talking to a guy today. He's looking at working with like wealth managers and stuff, and I was talking about like, how do you build a chatbot that does blah blah blah. And I was talking about inputs and outputs and stuff. And I was thinking, actually, dude, along with this conversation, if we gave it imagine say that you had this model, Nick, and it connected to inputs. So it had your fitness track data, it had like every meeting you ever on, every email you ever sent, everything like this goes into a database. It timestamps it and it knows the conversations, right? So it pretty much, it just finds a way of grabbing all the data in your life. And it can actually come out and then say, it's 7:00, like, Jack, you've not really moved. You should be at MMA right now. What the hell's going on, right? Like that, that's possible today. But then also imagine that when it's not speaking to you, it's just ruminating and asking itself questions about how can I be more helpful in you? Like it's proactively getting better at your life.
Like with a reasoning loop or something?
Exactly. Like say, for example, it starts asking questions about these are Jack's priorities. You didn't like get the agentic thinking, right? Like, but if you just let it loose for 16 hours and it kept coming up with ideas. So was that idea better? This idea? No, how about this? And what if Jack's just woke up and get all this sort of stuff. Like it actually, do you know what I mean? Like a model sitting with and asking itself questions for 16 hours. Like how much more specific and beneficial does that get? I mean, like I know it's Black Mirror, but like we can't be that far off that stuff. Like the second it starts messaging you, bro, about stuff. And here's the thing, this is where the whole digital employee thing changes, because now they're tools that we reach over and use. And like this idea that everyone thinks they use AI, in reality, you don't really use AI. You use it sparingly and you don't even listen to it and gives you suggestions anyway. But the second AIs can start making phone calls, hey, who the hell's this? Oh, this is Nick AI. Why the hell did you call me? Because I've not heard from you in 2 days. The hell's going on? It's like now all of a sudden it gets really freaking strange.
Yeah. And the thing is, we are just at the precipice of this now. Within like a year or two, we will have those we will have those things. And I mean, it's not like over the course of like a month, it'll go from like that, like never happening to that happening all the time. Like it'll just be like,
it's
sigmoidal, massive step change. Yeah.
Would you wear a pin, Nick, that like captured everything you said throughout the day and fed it into your private, locally hosted model?
I mean, like maybe. I probably wouldn't wear the first iteration of the pin. I would probably look at how the pin works and just, wait out like a month of bugs. Because to me, the month that I would gain, the month that like an additional 30% productivity or whatever that I would gain would not be worth the downside. But it's kind of like the Neuralink, right? Like I'm not going to take V1 of it. I'm not going to take V2 of it. But like, I might take V3 of it. Yeah, like that risk reward wise, like that sounds awesome. Not having to do the whole 300 millisecond input output loop thing that all human beings have to do. Like just think instantly and just do things. Like, yeah, I'd probably do that. It would take some time though.
It takes some time. Yeah. What
about you?
I think that's right. I think I'd be along the same sort of lines. It's just risk reward benefit ratios, right? Like you don't have time to get involved in the alpha unless you really, really need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I completely agree with that.
I find it similar I find it interesting how similarly we think about this stuff. You ever read this big book about mental models by this guy Shane Garish forever ago?
I haven't actually. I haven't heard of this guy.
So interesting. It's like it's a great book. Make a long story short, it's just a giant list of thinking tools. Like for instance, like risk to reward or incentives or expected values. It's like quantitative thinking, Bayesian thinking. What I always find interesting, and this is a total aside, is whenever I chat with you, I'm like, yeah, he's using that same idea, like and kind of get it. So for you, you mentioned risk reward ratios. That's what I'm thinking as well. Just doesn't really seem to make sense to me right now. Seems like the risk is not concomitant with the reward, but V3 probably.
Probably, yeah. Dude, I might need to read that book because that sounds fascinating. It's like models, like this is one of the things like models enable faster decision making, actually. People that seem to make decisions like that, actually, they've just got to establish a system they run things through, which I think is interesting. Yeah, it's the kind of tools to observe the world. But I might need to read that book because that sounds, I nerd out on that stuff a lot. I love that kind of like, it's plus or minus EV, which I found out when I flirted with poker like 10 years ago, and I was like,
oh, that's totally it. That's totally it. Dude, I get along so well with like anybody that does poker, and it's entirely because of that, because they're all thinking about EV in their decisions.
EV.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Did you see this thing with Boohoo? I don't know if do you guys have Boohoo in Canada?
What the hell is a Boohoo, man?
Boohoo is like a big fashion brand, like kind of edgy, like kind of like targeting like younger demographic. So basically the TLDR of this is like they're using AI to adjust their prices based on stocks and trends. So they called Peak AI. So the test suggests sales uplift of dynamic markdowns, risk of unused price transparency for consumers though. And this is like, so just for everybody watching, essentially the way this works is like, if they're selling out a lot of like this grey tank top, all of a sudden the grey tank top just goes expensive and the AI is just running these constant algos in the background. But they dynamic pricing isn't new. Mm-hmm. For example, I think it was McDonald's that like the price of a cheeseburger is more expensive in Mayfair than it is in, Croydon or something. I personally did as a consumer, I hate dynamic pricing. It feels so icky to me that they're trying to like squeeze and maximize you out, but it makes sense that they're doing it from a commercial point of view, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that. When I found out that, like Google Workspace emails were like $3 or $4 in some places in India, and then I'm out here paying like $8, $9, $10 or whatever. And like the whole reseller economy is like what I'm using to arbitrage and stuff. I'm just like, that sounds stupid to me. Like I want to make that decision myself, but obviously I do get it from the business point of view because yeah, dude, there's so many people out there that would be willing to buy your product, but their local cost of living standards and stuff just don't allow them to. So if you are willing to take a little margin hit, you now get a massive increase in top line. So obviously you want to do it. But I feel really weird about like travel airlines. I was in the Philippines, flying back to Canada. And I was looking at flights to Canada and I was like, dude, this is crazy. These are the cheapest flights I've ever seen in my life. What the hell? And then they're like, so what's your address for the payment? So I pump in my address and then they update the flight and it goes from like $700 to like $2,300. And I'm
insane, dude.
So what I ended up doing was I ended up just like buying
a house in the Philippines.
Hotel. I got the hotel address I was staying at. I used that as like my address. Got that shit for $800. Now, like, I was clearly taking advantage of a pricing policy meant to put in place to like make it easier for people, Filipinos particularly, to like buy shit. But it just felt so icky to me that I had to do that in the first place.
It is so icky that it works that way, dude. You make an interesting point about markets, dude. Like India is they're thirsty for AI.
Yeah.
But like just on a GDP basis, they don't really buy a lot. They can't really afford to do it. Like I'm on average, like typical user and stuff. Like when we once tried a free trial in our community, and loads of Indians joined straight away, and that's because like the price point on average can be a little bit prohibitive in certain countries and demographics. But it's a weird one, dude. Like how you service and access those economies and help those individuals. Which is why it's good. Like our free content's so great. I'd like to think at least that you get so much value anyway. Like I had a guy email me, bro. He's like, dude, I got $90 to my name, Jack. Should I buy the community? I said, dude, no. I said, go to YouTube and learn on YouTube. Keep your $90, please, dude. I don't want your $90. You don't need to do that. It's like from a creator's perspective, it's like, how do you tap into that economy? Because they don't. I guess it's like get them crushing it and making so much money they can afford to. But it's like they're not really buying as much as like other markets like US, Germany, Denmark, UK, those kind of locations.
Yeah, I think that's why the model that we're doing is so great. We just give basically everything away for free. I give all of the knowledge away for free. You have access to everything that you need. If you're ambitious enough to make up that GDP ratio gap between the West and let's say some places in, Southeast Asia or whatever, like you're going to make it happen, right? The only value that I provide is in like the daily accountability and like the coaching and like the aggregation of this data into one place. But like, that's more of a convenience thing than it is anything else. And, if you're hungry and you want to crush it and you want to make, I don't know, like Western money, even though you don't live in said West, yeah, dude, like you're going to make it work regardless. I can't tell you how crazy it is that there was this guy from India where I don't remember where he was. I think he was in Mumbai. I'm not entirely sure, but he, like cost of living there, right? Like how much does it cost to purchase a loaf of bread where you are versus, that guy in Mumbai, like relatively speaking, how many hours do you need to work to purchase a loaf of bread or whatever? It's very, that part's different, right? But, sorry, maybe the number of hours you work is the same, but like the total cost of living or whatever is so different. So I think within 2 months, he was making $18,000 equivalent and $16,000 profit. And I, seeing it from my golden throne was like, oh, well, that's pretty good. Like, where are you going from here? And he's like, going from here. Do you have any idea? I'm like a king over, it's the opportunities afforded to me by this. I've changed my family's life. If I can do this for like a year, I've changed their lives and like the course and direction of their lives. Now that is, he was in Mumbai as well, which is, it's like a big major metropolitan city, right? One of the biggest in the world. So contrast that with like somebody from like a smaller community, like some of my first staff members out in the Philippines who were making like about a 50 cents to $1 an hour equivalent. And then they started working with me and I started paying like 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, some of them 20 now. And now there's some sort of like revenue association. Like we're talking like rural areas. We're talking like generations of their family, assuming the same economic model persists, are good because of that ambition. So like it's crazy. Anyway, to tie all that stuff back to like the location specific pricing, it's crazy to me as somebody sitting here on that golden throne, but I do totally get why companies do it, and I can see how it's beneficial for people that don't have access to that lovely GDP.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. And those are the kind of stories you get, those transformations that fill you with joy, that are just so beautiful to see people applying your stuff and coming through and crushing it. There's no better like feeling as a creator than seeing someone in your channel, your community go through and crush that journey. Mm-hmm. It's a funny one, dude, because we're seeing now on the macro level, companies. It's an odd one, right? Because on the one hand, I know for a fact that most of them are significantly behind. So even when they do something that's kind of like, oh, that's like fine to do. I mean, it hits the news stories a lot, but the reality is a lot of people are sleeping at the wheel. My wonder here, though, is. You and I, we sit at the cutting edge of this AI and automation side of thing. I mean, I call it like the quadrant, but where do you think, bro, at the moment, technologically, like the fire is happening at the moment? Where do you think the kind of exciting offshoots are.
Most exciting developments in AI automation? Are we talking like as it applies to like a market?
Yeah. Or just in general, dude, it could even not be AI automations, but just like, do you think the most exciting, like fast growing plots are? I mean, I just talk about AI and the dogs get really fired up about it.
I'm about to buy a robot dog. Be quiet.
He's getting replaced by Rover, dude. That's what's happening. Like,
yeah, true. You got to walk him or something if you do. No issues.
no, I think we got like the cleaner pops around. I'm gonna do a little house check with dogs. I'll be 2 secs, all right?
All right, yeah, go for it, my bro. Or wait. This is why Jack is a good man. He has dogs. You know that a man with dogs is good, almost by default.
Dude, I'm back. It was dog food. Dog food arrived. They got really excited about it and had a lot of things to say about it.
Completely understand. I was just telling the fans at home what a great man you were, and how you know that a man is a good, kind-hearted man when he has dogs. So you don't know that about me because I don't have any pets whatsoever.
So do you want? Because you got a new place, bro, haven't you? Right? You thinking about getting some doggos in the crib?
No. I don't think it would be fair to them, and I don't think it would be fair to me to. With my current time obligations and whatnot, I don't think that I could realistically like provide for a dog, which is unfortunate. I'd love to have one. I'd love to have a little pupper, man. Nothing like the unconditional love that I see when a dog stares at its owner, and it's just, but damn, I want something to look at me like that.
Yeah, it's a life and enrichment thing. But they also like I take my dog to brunch with me, bro. He's like I have my brunch, he has his brunch. He's like a regular in a coffee shop, dude. They love him.
That's freaking awesome, man. Dude, so how are you gonna deal with that with en France, monsieur?
So Dexter's gonna come with me. He's gonna be in the car. We'll drive him down. So he's gonna be Dexter for a few months. And dude, he's gonna have a great time. It's gonna be near the Alps, so he's gonna be having a good full Dexter experience as he's gonna travel the world a little bit, which I think could be cool.
So where's like next for you then?
So it's going to be
wrap up, but where?
Yes, so it's going to be France for like 3 months, and then I'm going to hit LA.
When you say the Alps, though, you mean like you're going to head down to the Swiss Alps for a little bit?
Yeah, so south of France, like it's not too far to zip over to Italy or somewhere like that. And then have a good time south of France, dude. I honestly haven't even checked out where I'm staying yet. Like, and maybe it's like, I don't know if it's a negative or positive. I just kind of like do this stuff as and when it pops up, but just rock up and experience, I guess. And then I'm going to do LA for a couple of weeks, I think, in September, and then straight over to Dubai after that. So that's basically that's my like some cool travel I think the next 3 months. So if you're LA that time, dude, it'd be good to.
Most definitely not.
Do you go to LA much?
Nope.
Is it far?
Zero. No, I've been there a couple times, but no, I don't really spend any prolonged period of time down there. Damn it, Jack. Only you came to Canada. Dude, have you ever been to Canada before? Come on, Canada, man.
Never. Is it good?
It is the whole country is good. No.
Dude,
very big.
I was going to say, dude, okay, I'll take you up on that, dude. I heard you can put like a tap in a tree and get maple syrup out.
Yeah, it depends on where you live, but yeah, for sure, you can actually legitimately just like tap a freaking tree like an oil vein, and then like maple syrup will start coming out.
I thought that was a joke. I thought that was a goof. I didn't realize that was true.
No, it's true. Also, the maple syrup that you get, it gets pretty cold, especially where I'm at, like minus 35 in the winter, or whatever. If you just like get maple syrup and you pour it on a stick, and then you just like outside just start rolling it. You make yourself maple syrup ice cream, basically a maple syrup popsicle immediately.
Really?
If you want to store food,
you guys live in a magical land, dude. That's insane.
Dude, if you so bro, like I used to buy groceries, like online groceries, and they would just like come to my door, and I was just such a lazy piece of shit that I just like would forget about them, and like 7 hours later I go down. So I used to live in Vancouver, and when I would do that, my food would go bad, and then I'd be like, oh no, like I gotta buy this, again tomorrow. That don't happen where I am right now, because you buy food. And like it's actually much colder outside than in your deep freeze. So
like keeps you nice and chill. Keeps you nice and chill. Oh, dude, well that's perfect. Damn, man.
Dude, you gotta come out here, man. It'd be awesome to see.
I 100% did. We didn't get maple syrup trees. We got our bikes stolen, dude. That's what happened. Where I came from, dude. They're still your bikes, man. Oh, dude, I was gonna say we have to touch on this before we finish today. Apple Glass, dude. Have you been seeing the controversy on this?
Yeah, I have. I really want it. I know people are shitting all over it, but like, dude, I'm game for stuff like that. Like fundamentally changing how we interact with with screens or whatever. I mean, like, you know, it might just be marketing overhype, but I did watch the WWDC and I did see how they presented it, and it does sound like a different visual operating system, right? The refraction and the light, and like basically it's almost like ray tracing going on in your freaking phone. Like, dude, I'd be so down for that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, because I've seen like a lot of like, I've seen the photos and like, people are like really hating the updates.
Yeah,
on Apple.
they don't like it.
They're really like attacking it on Apple massively. They need to step up the game, dude, because Siri, my Siri's got an accent. It's not English Siri, and I don't know if that's part of the communication barrier that we have. But like, it's just not great, bro. It's just not. It's like the basics. I ask it to like play, like if I said I'll play some Rainfall, and starts like playing random ass tracks and stuff. I have to like get out of bed and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Siri, and I have to like sort them out, or like ignore me or something crazy. I'm like, dude, what the hell is? I'm about 2 seconds from shooting over to Apple HQ, and I'm like, what the hell is going on with this phone right now?
Do my bidding machine.
That's what I want. I just want, ChatGPT. Do I want ChatGPT in the phone? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Not.
I feel like I do. That'd be sick. If just had access to some apps, agentic, like they drop that, dude. I'm on that all day.
I feel like that's such a no-brainer. Like if I was an Apple, I'd be like, this is the thing we need to do. This is the next, like, why is not every single person's company working on this project?
That's why OpenAI is making a product, dude. That's why they're doing the hardware product that we talked about. Specifically because right now they probably pitched and they put their nuts on the table, and Microsoft was like, maybe we'll do it. Samsung, whatever's like, no, we got our own. Apple's like, but think about the data. We're only going to do it in a limited sense. If you just gave ChatGPT, as it stands right now, GPT 4.1, access to like the full phone operating system and just allowed it to do whatever, like global productivity would probably go up like 2x, and OpenAI is banking on everybody having that in their pockets, also for more data acquisition. So it's just like, it makes sense. It's a great play. I'd be super down to have like a ChatGPT enabled, a purposeful device that just does everything through ChatGPT agentic logic. Even if it's not 100% reliable, I'm fine with that shit.
Dude, what a sign off that is, dude, with the glasses. I'm sold. Like, dude, you need to end every podcast with this cool ass move. I might flip my camera. I'll just flip my camera.
We out here.
And that's it. Peace, guys.